It's your best friend, your good sister, and your favorite girl boss, Naomi, and we are back to have a nuanced conversation about all of the things that happened this summer because I did drop one episode that got somewhere around 10K views. And listen, I wanted to take some time to really figure out exactly what I wanted our conversations to be about. And I think I have a good grip on it. So we're gonna chat. Today, I'm trying to figure out why I'm still down here on earth because we were supposed to be caught up in glory today. Yeah, I'm fired. I'm a real Christian. I'm fire baptized running for my life. I thought today was gonna be the day that he was gonna call me home. Did I miss the first trip? Like I'm just trying to figure out. I'm trying to lead the baddies to the cross, and there's no yellow brick road for me. There's no street to go. There's no milk and honey for me. God, I'm your girl. No, but seriously, I think if we're just going to have a moment to discuss what's been going on between the Christian community, and I'm saying that lightly, I'm saying Christian community very lightly because there's a lot of things that are, and I hate to be this way, it's a lot of things that are perceived as Christianity because the focus is God's love, God's love, God's love. But when you really, get down to the nitty gritty, it's a lot of confusion in the midst. So it's a lot um, on the interweb about end times. And I think it's really weird how believers can be obsessed with the end times thing. Now, it's more because the word clearly states that no man will know the day and the hour. Like we are not going to know. Jesus don't even know. The angels in heaven don't even know. So if the angels in heaven don't know, Jesus somewhere minding his business, trying to make sure he's saving lives elsewhere. Why do you, in the middle of South Africa, think that you are going to be the prophet to deliver end times to the masses? Let's get into the story of how this actually came about. So we have a good sister down to South Africa who had a revelation. I'm making this long story short because you can see this full video on TikTok, and I'm going to link it in the description below so that you can get a little more perspective. She sends a mass email out to her co-workers saying that she is a prophet of the Lord. She's delivering a word. She doesn't want anyone to miss out on this word. And it is about the end times and basically that Judgment Day is going to fall around the time of Feast of Trumpets. Any of my practicing believers know that this is Feast of Trumpets. There is a Jewish name. There's a Jewish and Hebrew name for this time. I don't want to mess it up because y'all are not going to talk about me, but we're just going to say it in English. It is the Feast of Trumpets. Now, there are, I believe, three different, there's Feast of Trumpets, Feast of Tabernacle. There's one more that's skipping my mind right now. And this is actually a really beautiful time in the Hebrew calendar. This is the start of a new year. So I was feeling this shift not too long ago that a new season was coming and that God was preparing to take me personally to a higher place. The rapture is not what I'm talking about, but just to stay on topic, it is a beautiful time for that. Now, why they thought the trumpets were going to blow during Feast of Trumpets is a little wonky for me. It's even wonky that some believe that only 145,000 people are going to heaven when people die every day. Um, I think that we need to be focused more on salvation, more on sanctification. We need to be focused more on doing what God is calling us to do every single day. We need to be focused on getting delivered from spiritual hysteria. We need to be focused on being delivered from hyper spiritual behavior. We need to be focused on making sure that we are spreading and sharing the love of Jesus Christ. There's a lot of things that we need to be focused on, and y'all keep messing up the brand. Y'all keep messing up the brand, getting spooked out, weirded out, obsessed with things that God already told you he's not gonna tell you. He's not giving anybody He already told us that in the word. I'm gonna put the scripture on the screen. He already told us he's not going to give us that information. Now, we don't have a lot of time left. But with the time that we do have, we need to be focused on being of service in the way that God wants us to be of service. Thinking that you are going to be the one to give the prophecy about end times or be able to tell people when it's coming, like we haven't already been telling people that Jesus is coming back and that judgment is a real thing, and that Passover is that's something that we need to keep, and that the Sabbath is something that we need to keep holy, and there's different things that we need to be doing: fasting, praying, seeking Him out, being obedient, living in a repentant manner. Like, there are just certain things that like all believers should be doing and that all believers should know. And I'm just understanding that that's not the case. Let's focus on like our spiritual gifts and how to really use that. Let's just focus on like purpose or something. Y'all telling people y'all do understand the rapture, number one, it's not even in the Bible. So it's arrogant, it's prideful, it's a little demonic. And I just think we should stop here. Let's talk about something else. So I don't know why this conversation about faith and race is coming up right now. I think it's happening on the heels of Charlie Clerk's death, because Charlie Clerk's death shook up the ground for a lot of people. It was this juxtaposition between, I'm a believer and it's sad that another believer just passed because he was assassinated or murdered, and then everybody else was like, well, let's die every day. And who else? And the movements that support Black liberation, freedom, power, and equality in this country died in front of their children as well. We didn't get any festivals, we didn't get any press conferences, we didn't get much when some of those folks passed. And so, though I understand the pain that's felt in a resounding way, for believers, I also understand in some ways why believers are on the other side wanting to send their thoughts and prayers, right? Now, this conversation about I'm Black before I'm Christian, or I'm Christian before I'm Black, I think is silly, because let's get back to the text. Born into sin and shaped in iniquity. Baby, when I came into this earth, I was a Negro. I came in this thing a Negro. I didn't come into this world a Christian. Being a Christian for me was a choice. This is going to shake up a lot of people's ideas and a lot of people's theology about how we are supposed to see faith. And I'm timing up for it, because I think that the spiritual hysteria thing is something that we have to break up the ground with, so that you guys can come back to reality and not be in a place where you are always like in the cloud in such an unhealthy way. So I came into this world a sinner, but I also came into this world Black. And me being a Black woman doesn't change at all. I could choose to not be a Christian tomorrow. I could choose something else tomorrow, but I have seen the Lord in a way where there's no denying Christ's existence. There's no denying it. There's not even anything that you could tell me about it. There's nothing that you guys could tell me about it that would make me change my mind or change my stance or even change my positioning towards the heart of Christ. This is why I always tell people, when we have an extended conversation about religion and what is the thing that draws people to Christ, what is the thing that draws people to salvation, is because I had seen God and I had tested him, not seen God like visually seen him in the spirit, and I tested him at his word. I'm from a show me state. So if God was a healer, I didn't just take your word for it. This is gonna mess with a lot of y'all too, but this is just me and how I am. It wasn't me believing that God was a healer just because he said it. Even though that is enough, I needed God to heal me. God is a provider. That's enough. I needed the Lord to provide something for you, girl. In more ways than one. And I'm not talking about financial. There were so many things and so many areas that I needed God to be and to show up and to and to embrace me in that. Once he did, it was like, oh, this is who God, this, I understand the heart of Christ. I know who God is because I know who was for me. It was a choice for me. But now I'm so sold out behind the cross. I'm so deluded. I don't even know if there's nothing that could take me out of the love of Christ. It's a choice for me now. But there's has to be this balance where you don't become so, there's this thing about not being so pro-black that you're anti-Christ or something like that. I just think all of that is silly, because what exactly are we talking about? Not having a sense of love and appreciation for what you look like and who you are, in an effort to support things that are demonic. I'm not understanding where any of that is coming from, and trying to make people choose between what they are and what they believe in is probably not, that wasn't even on God's bingo card. And y'all like to make things up. It feels a little rage baity, make things up to bring a rise out of us. And I wasn't going to participate in it, me personally, because I will always be a Black woman, with everything that comes with everything that shows me, with everything that brings to me in this earth. But I will always be a daughter of the King. I will always be in the chosen priesthood. I will always be the elect of Christ. And that's not changing either. So we gotta wrap that conversation up, because it's silly. And there's more things for us to be focused on, like how to authentically and realistically and effectively draw unity between all races and believers across the world. Why are we not focused on that? I'm not busy enough, I fear. Speaking about being busy, my videos have been going viral in the TikTok space, not in ways that I would have ever planned. I definitely thought it would have been something about, me sharing something educational, me sharing something sexy. Like, I don't know. But I told a story about friends. You guys know that I often share, I have a series called Sisterhood 101. And I love sharing my story times. I love getting into the nitty gritty of what I learned from those people, from those situations, whatever may have you. And I'm not going to talk about the story that went viral right now. I don't want to address it right now, because it is a full story that includes the friend in question, the manager that I had, me being signed to fill in the blank label and Empire, what's happening with my music career. It's a lot that goes into that by itself, and I'm going to address it at a different time. I'm going to talk about the balance in friendships, knowing when relationships are supposed to end, and being okay with letting them go. I was put up a majority of the summer. I was in a, what I would call, I can't even call it a beautiful relationship no more. I was with him though. I did not love that man. I loved the idea of commitment. Coming out of that relationship was drastic, because there were so many things that I learned in that situation. But I'm going to talk about my friends. There does not need to be a dramatic or drastic reason why people end up not wanting to be friends with you anymore. In this particular situation, there is 5 of us, and I love these girls. To this day, I love these girls. They were primarily upset with me because of my story times on TikTok. I didn't think there was anything wrong with my story times, especially because none of them were vulgar, disparaging, disrespectful, mean-spirited. There were a few where I spoke directly to a person and a situation, because we were so close and we fell out over something that was actually very, very delicate. We have never been the same ever since. Like, we tried to be friends after that, but then she would always pick like these issues with me. Like, it was always, you always bring up something that you're going through when I'm talking about what I'm going through. And I'm like, you mean I'm relating to you? Like, I'm trying to make you feel seen and heard and comfortable enough to be vulnerable with me? It's so extra and dramatic with this girl. that I never had any ill will, intention, anything. And at a certain point, it was like a lot. It was a heavy spirit of delusion going on over the span of a few years. Not one girl in the group can say that I did anything to them, I did anything against them, I did something to hurt them, I did something to that I stole from them, that I tried to do with a man, that I tried, like, there was no real infraction in the group. However, one night my videos are being sent back and forth amongst the group. And I'm noticing it because everyone's going to my page, leaving, coming back, because you can tell on TikTok how many times somebody's coming to your page and things like that. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe they're enjoying my Sisterhood 101 series. Maybe they are, so I'm just thinking like the best of it. I'm not even thinking anything negative, because I never think anything negative when it comes to them. The videos get sent out. Everyone stopped sharing their location with me at one time. And I noticed because one of the girls that I'm the closest with, I was hitting her up for different things. I was like, hey girl, I'm doing this Nigerian now. Can you help me learn how to make this Nigerian dish? Hey girl, I'm doing da. Can you help me da? Hey, my project is coming out. Can you help me shoot this? Hey, so and so is wanting to work with you on this. Like, we got real business together. So it's like, hadn't heard anything from her. Don't even know why. I call her, no response. Call the other two, no response. I don't even care about the other one, because me and her, we ain't even fly like that. So she could. I'm like, okay, weird. I asked, what conversation is happening when I'm not around? No response. I said, okay. So earlier in the year, around my birthday, I invited all of them to my birthday stuff. Nobody showed up. Only the girl that I'm closest with showed up. The others canceled maybe 2 hours or so before the dinner happened. And I just thought, like, this isn't what friendship is, because I have friends that have lasted me 10, 12, 15 years. I've never gone through anything like this with my core friendships, that they didn't even be in Atlanta, but in Virginia, here, there. So I got friends that we don't have to talk every day. But every time we talk, we get up, it's like nothing happened. It's like nothing skipped a beat. So why am I going through all of this with this group? And this is supposed to be my core group of girls. Something isn't right. So the next day I have a phone conversation with one of them. She didn't like something that I said on TikTok about faith, which is whatever. She felt like, if there was an issue that you had with us, why don't you bring it to us? My thing is, why did you think certain things were about you if you and I never had issues? Okay, here we go. Sisterhood 101, accountability. When my friends are coming to me with issues or things that they're dealing with, I am the no man. I am the think it through thoroughly, the how and why is this affecting you, the did you see this from both sides? What did you do? What did they do? Because your next move is definitely predicated on how you feel and what you're thinking right now. Now, before we get into certain conversations, I'm always going to ask, what do you want from me? Do you just want me to sit here and listen to you? Do you want me to just be your shoulder to cry on? Do you want me to just hear what you have to say and just be present for you? Or do you want me to give you some kind of advice or some kind of insight, like what do you need from me? Because that lets me know what to say and not to say. If you're not in a place for somebody to help you really work through something, you just want me to sit with you, let me know that. If we are in a moment and we're just like having a delusional kiki, I'm game, baby. But if there's an opportunity for you to grow and I see that, I'm going to ask you if that is what you want. Might be the last video that I make on any of this church stuff tonight, because I do have more. However, like I mentioned in my last two videos, I'm a bishop's daughter. I had a fabulous time growing up in church. There was some things that happened moving down here to Atlanta. It has been some trial and error trying to find a church home, but I have found that I'm very happy about. One thing that I really struggle with when it comes to building community with women, and I think it's been like this throughout the ages,
is the mean girl in the world to the mean church girl pipeline. And I think it is, this might be me repeating myself, but I do think it comes from being one way in the world or being one way outside of the culture, and then you come into the culture, you get saved, and you think you can bully everybody for doing the same stuff that you used to do, and nobody wants to be around that. It actually stinks. And I say that being a person who was church Barbie, honey, church Barbie down, couldn't tell me nothing. And I was very judgmental when I was in the space of being very naive. So this was back when I had never partied, I had never been in a relationship, I had just never been through anything. And all of my hooting and hollering was this fire and brimstone message about, if you messing up, baby, you probably are going to hell. And I would say it with a smile. But it was very nasty, it was very mean, it was very not nice. And then when I started experiencing life, that thing smacked me over top of the forehead. And then I had to learn how to be a Christian and how to be a believer outside of my parents' home. And I had to learn who God was for myself, and if I even actually believed in this stuff. That was when I came down a little bit. I wasn't so heavenly minded that I was no earthly good. I actually began to have a real relationship with God. I actually got delivered. I actually got healed, transformed, and changed. And I actually had compassion for people, love for people. I had more grace for people. I had more openness to understand what other people are going through and how they come across the different situations they find themselves in and why they want to come to Christ in the first place. The main reason why a lot of people don't want to come to y'all churches and don't want to be a part of y'all small groups, they don't want to come to your coffees or tea parties, your paint and sip nights, is because y'all get together, y'all sit around, and y'all try to have these Christian girl talks and these Christian girl ponderosas, and it is a fake tongue-in-cheek shame session about the women we used to be and the women we once were and the things that we used to do and how we were so horrible and how we were so terrible, and now we're so much better because God is in our lives. And why would I, a person who's coming out of a lifestyle, sit and listen to you bash the person you once were, thinking that, oh, if I come into this space and I put something and I change and I'm doing all this stuff, now I'm good too, and I can sit around and be fake with the rest of y'all. No, nobody wants to come to that. Nobody wants to be a part of that. We actually want to have more real conversations about how can I be transformed by Christ, and if I slip and fall, what does that mean for me? If I slip and fall, is God still going to accept or love me if I slip and fall? No, we can't talk about that because y'all are mean. And nobody wants to be around that. So stop being mean Christian girls. Nobody wants to be around a mean Christian girl. Be a nice Christian girl. Actually be a girl's girl. Actually be changed and transformed by the blood of Jesus Christ, by the love of Jesus Christ. Study the heart of Christ, because when you start studying the heart of Christ, you will stop bullying people. And I think that is where I have to rest my case because I'm yelling at my phone. But I just have to share that because I'm annoyed.
I have this thing in friendship where it's like, I treat my friends based off of what I know about them. Meaning, if I know you to be a pleasant person because that's your personality and you are having a bad day, I'm not going to hold your bad day against you because I know who you are. If I know you to be an organized person and you're having a season where you're frazzled, I'm not going to then deem you as somebody who's like inconsistent or your life is messy or you're cluttered or whatever, because I know who you are. And maybe that's me giving people too much grace, but I just feel like when people are having a hard time for a season or they're struggling for a season, that is not the tell-all or the telltale of the totality of who they are in their life. I just don't believe that.
Let her have it. I also let her know. Tell everyone else that you guys have been having this conversation that I stand on everything that I said. There's no apology that I owe anybody because I don't feel bad about anything that I said. Everything that I say, I stand on. Everything that I say, I said it with intention and purpose. And none of these videos are about you guys in a way that is disparaging, disrespectful. Your names aren't said, anything like that. You guys know that my platform is really known for story times. I'll talk about what I want to talk about, and you are not harmed in the making of any of those videos. Okay, we move. I speak to the second one. This one, bothered me the most, and I'm not going to get into the other two. The second conversation broke me down because it wasn't about our friendship, it was about me. It was about my relationship failures. And not that I had so many relationships that failed, but the two that I did have, rough. One, I lost a child, and they didn't like my decision making. Me being laid off, I was too much for them. Me partying or me going out, they don't really like going out. I do. I never asked this group of girls to come out with me because I know that they don't do that. They are church girls. They like to stay at home. They're homebodies. We don't really like the same things in that way. So I never asked them. I only asked them to come to things that I know they would like. That's outside of me inviting them to pottery and Pilates that they never came to. The nail in the coffin to me was them blaming me for my own sexual assault and just saying that had I gone out less over a certain period of time, a particular sexual assault that happened to me would have never happened. The sexual assault in question happened after some music stuff. Like I had met some people in a space and we worked together. And one of the people that I was working with ended up taking me home. We chopped it up, had a conversation. Next thing I know, it was violence. And I think that it was so disgusting to take something that was painful that happened to me and say, well, this is your fault because you party a lot, when this event had absolutely nothing to do with me partying and being out. So I took all of this data from what they said and I asked, did I do anything to you? Did I make you uncomfortable? Did I say anything? Is there any personal offense that you have with me? And is there anything that you can say I've been a bad friend about? It's just me falling on hard times in this small window. You just not working for you. And it was, well, yeah. You got to take that and you got to run with it because in that moment I was so hurt about that because there's so many things that they've gone through, that they've walked through, that was just crazy in general for them, that I sat down and prayed them through, sat down and gave them resources for, sat down and showed up as much as I could in the ways that I could. And that just wasn't enough. So when people are ready to leave your life for whatever reason, you just gotta. This is one of those beautiful times in my life right now, I'd say. Those friends that I had, it kind of feels like, damn, that hurt. But hey, that's kind of all right. Because if a group of 5 women that you have never hurt can get around a table and have a conversation about you, and you are thinking in a healthy way, you're thinking the world of them, were they ever really your friends? I'll leave you guys with that. What did I learn though? Friendship breakups can feel like full on divorces. So prepare yourself a lot better when you are welcoming new people into your life. The first thing is definitely vetting people differently. Sometimes you can meet people and because there's so much alignment, it's just working. You're with them, it's working, there's no drama. This is really like a person that a person or a group of people that it's working with. But you do have to have something that I like to call forgivable offenses and unforgivable offenses. Forgivable offenses are things that we can work through. We're having an argument, we're having a moment of not being aligned, we're having a disagreement. You said something that I don't like, you did something that triggered me a certain way, and we can work through it because it's a forgivable offense. Now, unforgivable offenses, stealing, trying to get at my man, disrespecting my home, trying to put your hands on me at our big, grown, tax paying age. I have a longer list, but it is things that I always have in the back of my mind to where I'm like, this is stuff that I'm not going to tolerate with people because I do need them to show up in a particular way when it comes to friendship. And when they're not showing up that way, I have to love and respect myself enough to remove myself from the situation. Give yourself time for relationships to become what they're supposed to become, because the alignment could be great when you're starting out, but the more time you spend with people and the more you get to know them, the more that you learn about them. Ask more questions so that you're not learning things on the back end, but that you're seeing them as they come along and that you're able to make the decision as you're in the journey with people. With your friends, you are supposed to be able to depend on them, um, care for and be cared for by them. Respect is supposed to be there. Love is supposed to be together. Bonding, real friendship. However, some people just have those qualities, because that's who they are. And some people need to learn what it's like to be that type of person because they've either never had to be it or they've never had those type of people in their lives. And so adjusting your expectation with dealing with people instead of making some false agreements, meaning that you have an expectation that they never agreed to, the presence of that creates a lot more friction than necessary. And one thing that I had to do in all of my relationships was become more self aware, because I come from a specific type of community that is very beautiful. But we operate in a way where some of these conversations aren't even had because we're cut the way that we're cut. Everybody's not cut like that. Learning that everybody's not cut like that feels like a culture shock, but it's okay. Once you adjust your expectation, you're able to have some more healthy relationships, because the friends that I have in my life right now, man, I couldn't even have prayed for these type of people. I want you to keep those things in your back pocket. I'm gonna put them in the comments below and tell me a little bit about what you think. What have your friendships been like? What have some of those relationships changed or turned into? Are you having healthy and fruitful relationships right now? And what's leading you to that place of having those? And if not, is it you? Is it them? Or are you guys just not aligned and it's okay? It's no beef, it's no drama, it's no problem. We just don't have any alignment and there's no real reason for us to be in each other's business. Because that's okay too. I will see you guys next time on Nuanced with Naomi. Bye.